Pastor Roy Gearhart from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, the month of February has a number of different observances tucked into it, not the least of which is Valentine's Day. But we also celebrate President's Day, where we recognize George Washington as a founding father who helped establish us as a nation built on truth, justice, and liberty for all. And along with him, we celebrate President Abraham Lincoln, who brought that dream of liberty to life for a whole populace who had never experienced it from the founding of our nation, when Abraham Lincoln ended slavery here in America. On top of that, we recognize February as Black History Month. And this all makes it particularly fitting that the Words of Life Pursuit should have brought us to delve into the life of Moses right at this time. For many oppressed people, and for African Americans, there is a particular identification with Moses and God's people during this time when they were enslaved in Egypt, and God brought them a deliverance that produced freedom in their lives. For many African Americans, all the way back to the time of slavery, there was a special sense of hope that was derived from the gospel. And that hope was brought to life not only in Christ, who had set our spirit free, but with Moses, who was God's representative, who had declared that God could set us free in our lives as well. And so that God, sending Moses as a deliverer, gave hope to so many African Americans who were enslaved, that God could not only set their spirit free, no matter what the conditions were around them, but that God gave them hope that they too might be delivered from slavery and brought into freedom. Sometimes even the people who were working in abolition or working in the Underground Railroad to bring about the freedom of slaves, that were looked upon as people who were walking in the footsteps of Moses. Famed abolitionist and rescuer on the Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman, was even called Moses by many people who honored her and admired her for her work. And her life parallels Moses in so many ways. Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery, but gaining her own personal freedom was not enough. She had to go back. She went back into the South to deliver dozens more from slavery. And like Moses, who found himself freed from slavery in Egypt as a runaway, but sent back by God to bring forth his whole people to freedom and to return them to God's promised land. Now, all of this gives so many people, as I said, a great sense of identification then with the gospel and with Moses as a deliverer for those who are oppressed, those who are enslaved, those who are suffering under injustice. When we look back upon this ourselves, we need to derive from it a message that is both a message of hope and a call to move us forward in action. We need to realize that wherever people are experiencing oppression and injustice, that this is a message of hope in Christ. When Jesus came, he was handed one day in the synagogue a scroll of Isaiah to read from. And he turned to a passage that said, "I have been anointed to preach freedom to the captives, to set prisoners free, to bind up the brokenhearted." This is our message of salvation that has a practical application as well. And you and I can gain from that great sense of personal hope that we can be set free in our spirit no matter what conditions there are, and that we can put our hope on God, that he can send to us a deliverer, that there can be a Moses that arrives in our life as well. And with that, we need to take from this a great lesson and a sense of calling, a hope that you and I might be called Moses ourselves one day, that someone would look upon us as the messenger that brings them good news and sets them free, someone who stands with them to fight back against oppression and injustice, to bring freedom to the captives, to bind up the brokenhearted, to set the prisoners free. Well, may God bless you today, and as you share this good news, May God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.